Lust. I saved this one for last. Because in recent news, so much has happened because of lust. The R. Kelly thing, lust. The Michael Jackson leaving Neverland, lust. Bill Cosby's in prison for lust. A lot of men are in prison for lust because they just raped somebody or they deceived them to fulfill their desire of lust. People would take advantage of a child to fulfill their lustful desire. Sometimes lust can be so strong it turns into what we would see as a sickness. People masturbating in public. People having sex in public. People pursuing other people, male or female, in a sinister manner. And they only want this person to serve one thing, and that's their desire for lust. They don't really care about this person. A lot of people have meaningless sex. I call it primitive sex, but a lot of people call it meaningless sex. And to me, it's almost like how you might observe an animal having sex. We don't even really know the relationship between these animals. They just meet up and have sex and go two different ways. And that's how a lot of times it is with humans. And people are just driven purely from lust. Sometimes I observe men, they look at a woman with such a strong lustful desire that it's creepy. And I know a lot of you women have felt that negative, creepy, lusty energy. And that's a big weapon. And that's one of the most obvious weapons. Because sometimes your lust will have you distracted, have you confused. It'll have you a lot of the other items that I mentioned. Giving off negative energy. All that. It's a very effective weapon. Because we're visual people. You can be in mid-conversation and see a girl and it just changes your whole mind. Some people, their lustful desires make them miss work. They're with some girl, they don't want to leave the presence of this girl because they want to continue whatever affection they have and sex they're having, where they call into work. I'm not going to make it, God. Y'all, boss man. And so we fall victim to this thing. Now, this is kind of tricky because we all have lust. Controlling it is one thing, because you'll never fully suppress it. Some people's libido is very low. They just don't lust as much. A lot of us do. Some of our libido is just right, and some of it is through the roof. And that's just the way it is. But we can't, when you're willing to go to prison behind it, are you really willing to hurt somebody over it? Someone just breaks in somebody's house just because they're lusting for something, for sex. They just forcefully rape somebody, male or female. It's amazing what that weapon will do. But also what I know that it does is it causes trauma to the victim. And sometimes it'll make the victim inoperable. The victim is so traumatized that they can't function properly in society. And it's a big, big problem. It was a problem with several of my relationships. Those women were victims at some point in their life, and it affected all their relationships after that with the man. And I just don't see how many people are going to jail and losing, your lustful desire will have you having sex with your friend's partner or somebody you shouldn't be with. But because we're lusting so hard, we do it anyway. And that little brief moment of pleasure, because it's brief, causes so much damage. And was it really worth it? Is it really worth? I wonder, like these guys that are in prison for rapes and things like this, or people that lost their marriages, was it really worth it? Like Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, gets caught cheating. Now he has to split that money in half. And I know a lot of y'all are saying, well, $65 billion is still a lot of money, whether he splits that in half or whatever, it gets 30 or whatever. Listen, was it worth hurting somebody you loved? And that's just a very, very effective weapon by the serpent that I think we all need to check ourselves about. So I urge you not to be a victim of lust. Control it, people, or learn from R. Kelly and Harvey Weinstein.